So I finally got to try HDR10 Plus on the PC, and that was definitely one of the biggest reasons I wanted to try a Samsung QD OLED TV, because this is supposed to be the next evolution of HDR with dynamic HDR metadata and with the NVIDIA drivers taking care of the tone mapping. So you no longer have to worry about the sliders. Just open the game and everything is going to be set up for you. So you just play them and they look awesome. But unfortunately, I'm trying Cyberpunk. And NVIDIA definitely knows what they're doing, because RTX HDR is absolutely amazing. But they are not going to change the creator's intent here. Because the creator's intent in Cyberpunk was black level race with a green color filter. And everything looks blown out. That was the creator's intent. It absolutely sucks. So that's not going to change. And it doesn't. And I was not expecting the HDR to be changed in any way. But what I can tell you is that it works in that you turn it on, and when you go to the in-game HDR settings, the peak brightness is set to where it needs to be. Okay? That is as much as it does. Nothing else. So I do not see any difference on the bit depth or rate or the quality of the HDR or the gradation of colors. We still have color banding near black. It looks horrible. Near black and on the highlights too sometimes. So yeah, it's basically the same HDR, which is terrible in my opinion. The thing is, this game, because of the setting, you have night full of neon lights. That's the perfect scenario to showcase HDR, and actually the game looks amazing. But yeah, they just did a terrible job with the HDR in this game. So yeah, it's still not good and it's not fixed, but what you get is that peak brightness slider set for you. Okay, so now I'm gonna share with you a setting you can change on the service menu to change that number. So it is only one setting you change. So for example, if you did the mod on your Samsung QD OLED to get more brightness, now you want to change that setting, so when you open the games, the peak brightness is set to where you need it to be. Okay, so I'll share that with you. And I also tested Red Dead Redemption 2, which I always thought from the beginning that it was completely broken, but it seems like they fix it. The HDR, they fix it, and it does look great. It looks very, very good. No complaint. There's still something weird about it, okay? But yeah, it's okay. It's not. It's good. It's okay. So with HDR10 Plus, I do not see any difference between that and just changing the sliders myself. It's exactly the same. I do not see any difference whatsoever. And I do not believe that they are using any dynamic HDR metadata at all. So, yeah. Okay. But I think this is going to get better over time. And hopefully, we start getting more and more games that support this, because Unreal Engine already has an HDR10 Plus plugin or something that the developers can use. So it is supported on the games, and it shouldn't cost a lot of work at all. It should just be a couple clicks, I hope. So hopefully we start getting more games like that, and ultimately we get games with full support where we have a scene by scene metadata, so we preserve the details better and the HDR just goes to the next level. Now, some people think because we have Dolby Vision, HDR10 Plus, HLG, HDR10, and all these different formats, some people think that that's the reason why HDR looks broken, because we don't have a standard for HDR or something like that. That's not the case, okay? The reason why HDR is broken is because it seems like they don't care too much about it. But there is a standard, and HDR is supposed to look in one way, okay? It's not that with this standard HDR is supposed to be brighter, and with this other standard then HDR is supposed to, of course. The problem is that these displays that we have are not capable of the full HDR spec, which is like, 10,000 nits full screen, okay, with perfect blacks, and perfect EOTF tracking. We don't have that, okay? And it's gonna be a very long time, or maybe never we will have that, because maybe it's not gonna make sense power consumption wise. So we need tone mapping for the content to be tuned or adjusted so it looks good on the display. So we need either tone mapping from the source, which is in this case what this is doing, it is tweaking the settings on the game, or we need tone mapping from the display. So we basically have the source raw, exactly how the creators decided that to be, and then the display does the tone mapping. And sometimes you can have both, which is not ideal, but it's not a big deal. Some people are concerned about double tone mapping because it's not ideal, or HDTV tests said that, but it's not a big deal. It's better no tone mapping at all, but it's okay. It's not a problem. If it looks good, it's good. That's the thing. And ultimately what you want is to max out the capabilities of your display. So the setting that I'm going to show you, and by the way, in Cyberpunk, HDR10 Plus is not fixing anything. You still have to use reshade. I share with you a version of the settings to fix Cyberpunk. I opened the game now and took the settings real quick. This might not be better than the settings that I share, but they are trying to do the same thing. So yeah, you can check it out here. I am using the same PD8003 curved levels with these values, and I am using Lilium's HDR Black Floor Fix shader here, and also I am using Lilium tone mapping to get 2000 nits with perfect blacks. Not perfect blacks all the time, but when you're on the darkness, I see here like we get perfect blacks, and 2000 nits for my S95C because it is modded on the service menu to get 2000 nits and all of that. So I always try to do the settings again just in case I do a better job. Okay, but yeah, this looks very good. But yeah, you do have to fix the game. With Red Dead Redemption 2 is okay. But now let me share with you the setting you have to change on the service menu, so you can basically have HDR10 Plus changing the peak brightness if you did the mod, or if you just want it to be different for some reason. It's interesting. So for example, if I go here and I mess with the slider and I change it to whatever, then go back, if I turn off this HDR10 Plus, and then so now I go to the settings. It is set to 840. So let's see now if I go and I turn it on, let's see if it remembers that. Yeah, see, 2000. So same with Red Dead Redemption 2. I open the game 2000. If I change it, go back and forth, it's gonna change it back to 2000. So that's basically it for now. But I hope in the future we can, for example, or even now maybe, there is a way we can force HDR10 Plus for Unreal Engine games. most likely, I don't think that's going to make any difference at all. But maybe you will get a higher, bit rate, like a higher, more information, so it looks better. Maybe better gradation of colors. I don't know. Maybe if you actually force Unreal Engine, it is being enabled at the engine level, and you actually can get a better quality. Maybe. I don't know about that. I think maybe with Dolby Vision there is something similar, but the problem with Dolby Vision is that they have to pay royalties or something like that. So that's why I don't think Dolby Vision will ever succeed at all. I've never even used Dolby Vision on my LG C1, ever. I've never even seen the logo pop because I only use it for gaming, for PC gaming, and there are no Dolby Vision games. So for people wondering, am I missing out if I don't have Dolby Vision for gaming? Well, if you have an Xbox, you can use the Dolby Vision tone mapping calibration that your TV has, but the only games that support Dolby Vision is like Halo and a couple other games, or 2 games. So that's not worth it at all. It doesn't make any difference. And most likely not. Sometimes the Dolby Vision mode of the TV is not well calibrated. So yeah, it's completely useless. I would say HDR10 Plus for PC gaming is definitely more promising, especially because of Unreal Engine. Most games are on Unreal Engine, so you have some hope there that you're gonna get something better in the future, or even now. I'm gonna do my research. If you know, let me know of any mods, but I'll check that out and see if there is something that can improve the quality. So now on the service menu, let me share with you how can we change that target. Basically, by default, this Samsung S95C was 1200. So with HDR10 Plus, it is setting the peak brightness to 1200. So that also gives you the answer to what should your peak brightness be when you're using a static tone mapping. With basic HDR static tone mapping, it should be 1200. If HDR10 Plus by default is set like that, then obviously that's the value that I would use. I didn't test if I use advanced HDR instead of basic. I didn't test if that changed, but I don't believe so. I don't believe that would change anything for so the target. I don't think it's gonna change to 4000 because with advanced the clipping point changes. I haven't even tested advanced at all because I want as close as I can get to HGIG because it's gonna look the best. And I don't need the TV to be doing the tone mapping because I have reshade on the PC. I can change the content. So I can always change the content to be as good as possible for the TV. And that's better in my opinion. That's a better solution. But sometimes maybe the other way works better. Like for example, with Resident Evil Village, the peak brightness on the game, if you reduce it, you are clipping the highlights because the tone mapping method that the game is using is dice. So that's not good. You're losing details. So it is better to max out the peak brightness on the game and then do the tone mapping with the TV, and the peak brightness of the game is like 4000 nits. So that might be a case to use advanced HDR, so you have 4000 nits target. But I can use reshade and do the tone mapping with reshade instead and still use basic and static tone mapping. That's what I would do actually. But yeah, that's the example. Or if you have a console. So now we come here to the service menu. I already shared how to use the Colorcontrol app to access the service menu. Link in the description of the video. So we're gonna come here to SVC, and thanks to Reza, I don't know how to pronounce that. It's a user that he told me this. He was the one who told me. So thank you for letting me know. So we come here to SVC and we come here to option HDMI, and we're gonna change this HDR EDID from 80 to 100. So 100 is 2000. So what this is doing is telling the PCs, like communicating, hey, this is 2000 nits capable HDR10 plus TV. So that happens. But if you need a different number because maybe you have an S95B and you did the mod and it is 1500, or you have an S95D with a third generation QD OLED that is 1500, but the 55 inch is like that. Now you want to change this to a different value. So now which value is 1500? I don't know. I would have to change from 80 to 90 or 85, 95, start testing to see which one is. So that might take a little bit of trial and error. If you do it, put that in the comments so people can see it. I'll pin that comment if you do, if you know that. So that's what we can do when it comes to HDR10 Plus on the service menu, as far as I know right now. The other thing I would like to know is if there is a setting here that has to do with the EDID to basically, I want to eliminate this 4096 by 2160 resolution from the EDID of the TV. So it doesn't exist, or at least hide that resolution so it doesn't get caught by the PC at all, because it causes some stretching with games, and that's bad. Okay, there's some games you have to go to borderless mode, otherwise it looks stretched. Even if you have 3840 by 2160 on the game, full screen, it looks stretched. I don't know why. So you have to change to borderless, and if you change to borderless, HDR, native HDR doesn't work. Example, Watch Dogs Legions. So that's a problem. I would like to know if there's a way to fix that. I know there's some EDID options, but if you make a mistake there, you can break the TV. So I want to make sure before I change that. But this one here, it works. I tested this. I just show you. It is changing to 2000 nits. And at the default 80, it was 1200. So this is very good. Now, of course, you might think, oh, why would I... You know, if you are into going in the service menu and knowing all this stuff, why would you need to change this? You know it is 2000 nits. You can just change the slider on the game. Well, one reason might be in the future, if you change it to the right place, then the driver level tone mapping might be correct. And otherwise, it might not be correct. So maybe, but I'm not sure about that. So yeah, we'll go out of the service menu here. Next. And we go here, exit. Done. We don't need to reset the TV for this. You don't have to turn it off and back on again. It works. This kind of changes, you don't need to restart the TV. So yeah. Let me know your thoughts and opinions. Again, before we finish the video, let me go over the settings here in Cyberpunk in case you are interested. These are different settings from the ones that I shared before. So give them a try. Maybe the ones that I shared before are better. But yeah, this looks good to me right now. I just opened the game, tweaked the settings real quick. But I have a lot of experience with this game, so I know what I was looking for. So yeah, 2000 nits here, although that's because I was using HDR10 Plus. I would maybe max this out so we have no tone mapping on the game. Actually, let's do that now because I think this is better. No tone mapping on the game, and then we just change the target here with the Lilium's tone mapping. Yeah, I was gonna share the settings and I'm gonna change them right now. So yeah, but this is easy. We're just gonna change the target luminance to 2000, almost 3000. So it'll be 2993, 299. Let's see if that works. So if I go and look at the highlights, I'm getting, yeah, maximum 3000. Oh, no. No, I have to change the 3000 nits, this one. So it'll be 3570. 3570, because this was going over actually. So this one stays at 2000, so it'll be 1993. Let's see if this works. Yeah. So basically I am telling what is the maximum peak brightness that the game is trying to output. In this case, if I get rid of this tone mapping, so if I eliminate the tone mapping, I look at the highlights and they are going over 3000. See right now, 3391, 3463. So that's why I change here this. So when I turn it on, the tone mapping, 3570. That's close. So that's the maximum peak brightness that the game is trying to output. Now, why is that? If the maximum value on the game is 3000, why is the game going higher than that? Cyberpunk, of course. Yeah, but there might be something flickering here. It might not be relevant, but yeah, it is going higher. So then here on the target luminance, you're going to input the actual peak brightness that you need for your display tone mapping. So I set it to 1993 because I need 2000, and by doing that I see here the maximum 1999, 1998 something. So that's good, that's working. And I'm going to fix the black floor with this Lilium's HDR black floor fix. Enable black floor lowering, and I change this roll-off stopping point to 0.05 nits. And the reason is I want to increase actually the visibility near black with another shader later. So I don't want to make everything dark near black. I just want to get perfect blacks. So for that I just reduce this roll-off stopping point from 10 to 0.05. And then this old black point is to lower the black level. And I set it to 0.068167. So now how is that I check this old black point? What I do is I go to the darkness and I look at this minimum max CLL. And then I start, of course I see how much raise the black level is. And then I start testing a big value to crush the blacks, and then less and less and less and less until I get the smallest number that would give me perfect blacks. That's what I do. Start testing that until you get it. It doesn't take a lot of work. This is easy. This one is not difficult. Now, the one that's difficult to get is how much visibility near black you want. And that is this PROD8003 curved levels. So with this one, you can use this curve contrast visualize. You change this to 1 and you get this graph here. I learned about this from, what's the name of the YouTube channel? JDSP. He shared this on a Cyberpunk video actually. It was like 2 or 3 years ago. So this is a very useful shader. So with this, what I'm doing is I am increasing the visibility near black and then keeping everything similar. So you do that with this two, mainly with toe position X and toe position Y. So I changed that to 0.035 for toe position X and 0.095 for toe position Y. And then I changed the shoulder position X to 0.25 and the shoulder position Y to 0.05. to 85. So now these two, the reason why I changed them is because when I increase the visibility near black, everything gets raised. So what I do is with these two, with the shoulder position, what I do is try to get it back in line. So this is a line here, and I just increase the visibility starting here. That's why. So, but this one does take a lot of, trial and error, and then look at near black and see, if that's enough for you. And also, because the display is so much brighter, I think you need a little bit more visibility near black, especially when you are just driving during the day. Otherwise, it is too dark. So the contrast of having such a bright picture and having very dark when you're like going under a bridge or something, and then you have the daylight on the outside, you need more visibility near black. And this game feels like it is too dark, especially, very important, I forgot to mention that, especially because I lowered this. This was not, this tone mapping midpoint was at 2, okay? So, and actually that one didn't reset with HDR10 Plus. So HDR10 Plus is only and exclusively touching the peak brightness. So I reduced that to 1 because otherwise everything looks blown out. You look at the sky and the sun, you cannot even see it. It's all blown out at the source, not because of the HDR of this tone mapping of the display. So yeah, I lowered that to 1 because of that. So then the TV settings right now, I reduce the brightness so it looks okay on the recording because this thing is crazy. So basically the settings I'm using are for to minimize ABL, which I like them a lot actually. They look very good and they are plenty bright, very, very bright, and you have almost no ABL. So I don't have a meter to see how bright it's getting like this, but I would bet this is like 600 to 800 nits, easy, and maybe more. It is crazy with peak brightness off, the 2000 nits mod on the service menu, and the contrast in 21. If you didn't do the mod, contrast 25, peak brightness off, would be about the same. Maybe not, of course, because you have less full screen brightness. From 250 to 310 nits with a 2000 nits mod. So yeah, with these settings right now, this is crazy bright. I mean, in the camera, I would have to reduce the settings. Actually, let me do that. So I basically changed the shutter speed of my camera from 1/90 to 1/500. So you can actually see this. Otherwise, it just looks completely blown out. But this looks amazing. Really, really, really. It looks amazing. And at night, with all those neon lights, Cyberpunk is a showstopper with the right setting. So I'm definitely gonna be checking it out. I already beat the game. But yeah, I'll be playing it for just to see the HDR, how it looks. But yeah, let me know your thoughts and opinions, and if you have any questions.